How to find sustainable children's clothing brands. What qualifies as sustainable fashion? Consumers want to find answers to these questions. It may take a long time to check sustainability credentials and to understand what sustainable actually means. Our guest has experienced this herself when searching clothing for her children, before coming up with the idea for My Little Green Wardrobe, an online store selling sustainable children's clothing brands. Let's welcome Lucy Todd to our Hive studios. Hello, Lucy, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Lina. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here.
How do you select brands for My Little Green Wardrobe? How do you navigate greenwashing?
I'm glad you brought that up. Greenwashing is a massive problem, as I'm sure many of your viewers will be aware. And actually, it's part of the reason why I set up My Little Green Wardrobe. Because previously, I'm not from a fashion background. I'm not from an e-commerce background. This is totally new, uncharted territory for me. But the reason I got into it was because I kind of came across the impacts of fashion in my previous job, and I was like, this is insane. How do people not know about this?
What was that?
So I used to be a journalist at the BBC, and I worked on their arts desk, so that would be covering like the likes of fashion. And yeah, I got press releases from the likes of the Textile Exchange and Fashion Revolution, which are some great non-profits working in this sector. And they just opened my eyes basically to the problem, the impactful nature of the textile industry. And I just couldn't carry on shopping in that same way. So for me, as a kind of fully grown woman who doesn't change size that much, this was okay because I was just like, right, I'm just gonna kind of really cut down, just stop buying clothes. But I have 2 kids, and the thing with kids is they grow like all the time, right? So you can't just say, no more clothes for you, I'm afraid. So what I found was when I did try to shop a bit more ethically and sustainably for them, it was an absolute minefield. And I don't have a degree or like a master's in textiles and material science. So some of the stuff they were telling you was too much, and some other times they wouldn't tell you enough information. So you couldn't really understand how a brand was behaving more ethically or sustainably, or if it was, because they might claim to be acting in a more sustainable way, but then there'd be no evidence to back that up, and you might dive into all of their product descriptions and their, the spec of their product and find, it's just made out of polyester. Like, in what way are they acting more ethically?
So how do you make sure the brands that you have on your My Little Green Wardrobe are sustainable?
Okay, great question. So obviously it takes a lot of research from my perspective. Either I approach the brands to be part of my website, or some have approached me as well. So then there's kind of a mutual, quite a lot of, conversation between us. And each brand has to complete a kind of quite an extensive questionnaire into their practices, and, how their ethos, how they are performing better. But I don't just take the brand's word for it, because, as much as we'd love to just trust what they say, I need third-party certification. I need evidence to prove that actually what they're doing is more sustainably, more ethically sort of correct.
The clothes you brought here today, Can you go through a little bit and explain why are they sustainable?
Yeah, right. So we've got some really gorgeous things here I've chosen a few different brands here. So we've got Frugi down in the front, which is a really well-established brand in the UK. It's been going for over, I think, 20 years now, and it's like a cult favourite. They've been kind of trailblazing. We've got Turtle Dove, some Lily and Sid, and we also have Muddy Puddles, which specialise in outerwear and clothes that are, they're still made from man-made and synthetic materials, but they're mostly recycled plastics, and they're all made from plastic bottles and the likes of like nylon, like fishing nets in the sea. So you're getting more use out of those materials. So these ones here, for example, the velour Turtle Dove little leggings that we have here are so super soft, but they're made entirely from GOTS Organic, so Global Organic Textile Certification cotton, which means that they've made with no synthetic harmful chemicals, which doesn't hurt the planet. It's kind of for the planet, also for the workers. I don't know if you're aware, but there's something like 250,000 cases of pesticide poisoning in a year, according to the WHO. And with organic cotton, then you're sort of mitigating that because they're not involving the pesticides in the same way. And then it's kind of for skin as well, especially when you've got little kids. They can have really like sensitive skin. They can get rashes and hives really easily. So they don't have any toxic chemicals or anything inside them. So they're kind of for the planet, kind of for the people who made them, and kind of for the wearers as well. So it's like a total win.
Wonderful. And in terms of at the moment your business is online only, would you consider opening a physical store or a pop-up to test the market?
Yeah, so I mean, actually, funny you say that. I've just been in talks, a couple of talks with some different options about pop-ups sort of going forwards over the next few months. So it's still really early stages. When it started, so my screen wardrobe is still super new, and you know, it was kind of just off the back of the pandemic, so it felt like online was kind of the obvious place for it. I'd love to do, you know, a real bricks and mortar one day. Hopefully one point that will be in the pipeline and we can kind of get some boutiques as well. But yeah, that's 100% like the plan as well.
Thank you so much, Lucy, for being with us today at Hive Studios.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you for watching.